One. Good Morning Inglemoor, sponsored by Fiji Water.
Welcome back to the Nordic News Podcast. I'm here, me and Lucas are the hosts, and we have our favorite news crew at Inglemoor, other than Nordic. We got GMI here. Welcome Lunden, Jace, and Wilmore.
News used very lightly, you know.
I would agree with that.
See, I disagree with that.
News.
You
know, I think we're already starting with the debate here. I mean, I think when you talk about news, right? You know, you talk about like weekly, right? Daily, right? You know, the news station, you know, but Nordic, it's like once a year.
Yeah.
All right, we get a newspaper. Not everybody gets it. You guys hand it out in the hallways. We have a time of the day. We have a time of the day like separated from us.
I mean, if that was true for us, where teachers forcibly handed a newspaper to every student,
see, why don't they do
it'd
that?
be the same.
Yeah, but they don't because it's not as good.
That's what I'm saying.
That is not why.
All right, well, what? Well, then we would have a time where you would hand out newspapers.
I'm sorry, but do you have Viking time?
Oh.
You guys don't have Viking time.
Do you guys think? Do you guys think people would watch?
We have GMI
do you guys
time.
think people would watch GMI if they weren't forced to every single block day?
We've been trying to make sure this year that it's something that people want to watch.
There, see?
The last couple of weeks, the entire year basically, it hasn't been like that.
But isn't that your job?
No, we've.
Not anymore. I'm no longer Deuce. These two are.
Well, see, that wasn't the question, Will. See, the question was that your job? And yes, it was your job.
It was my job, and I did my
failed.
job as much as I possibly could, and just
Well,
there's a bit of a learning curve,
Not
but
really,
it's
All right.
it can happen. Whatever.
For the uneducated, would you guys like to break down a little bit about what GMI is?
Yeah, Jace, you can.
It's me and London messing around, and that's the only part that anybody watches. So
I meant like, what is GMI?
I think Jaden Che has made some very good features. So
I debatably have made some pretty good features.
Wow.
Debatably.
What features
very
have you
debatable.
Yeah.
Very debatable.
What have you done, London?
We haven't seen it yet. Okay.
Oh yeah,
We ate bananas on camera.
might I
clip.
remind you that
Insert
didn't
clip.
actually go very well. They had a stern talking to by Miss Allmeyer, and they weren't allowed to do anchors or sports for like 2 weeks
Because you ate
consecutively.
Yeah.
Because we ate
She got
bananas.
multiple emails
Why?
from staff saying that it was not appropriate
It was
to a certain
inappropriate.
extent.
They said we were hawking down the bananas. And frankly,
verbatim. That's verbatim what they said.
Yeah, that was what they said. And
They said.
I didn't think our actions deserved the repercussions. I thought Jace was eating the bananas, and I was eating the bananas respectfully. It's a fruit. It's not. They said it was an inappropriate fruit, and I don't think it's an inappropriate fruit. Like eating an apple.
It was
right?
subjective.
So it was
open to interpretation.
Is it because we're guys? Like if we were girls and we were eating bananas, would it be different? Like respectfully, like I thought Jason and I were doing a good job there.
Yeah.
You guys killed it to a certain extent, but there was
We
people that were
destroyed those
offended.
bananas.
For everyone wondering,
I'm trying to be the voice of reason here, but
for everyone wondering, GMI stands for Good Morning Inglemoor. It's a bi-weekly, meaning twice a week show
right.
that shows to all the classrooms at Inglemoor. It's a lot of messing around. It's a lot of
like gay.
trying to talk about the news. That's about all. I mean, unless you guys have anything else to add.
I mean, it is a phenomenal class. It is great. The people that excel in it love it. People that don't have some choice words to say about me, but it's passionate. I'm very passionate about the class. These two,
Yeah.
I would say, they're very passionate
Some
about
would
the
say
class.
he is so passionate about this class that he actually swore at our teacher.
No, that okay. That was a little bit of a miscommunication and understanding. Wasn't actually directed at her, but it was. I'm just gonna. Hey, London, what do you have to say? What do you think?
I think an interesting point, at home is: did you find more entertainment in Jason and I, kind of messing around, or like the attractiveness of the person talking? See, for me, when I'm watching, obviously you want somebody on TV who, you like looking at, right? Jason and I, we're okay, But do you think people at home, right? People in the classes, do you
People
think
at home?
I don't know. I don't know who watches GMI. My mom watches GMI.
Oh,
Yeah.
bless her soul.
But appreciate that, Charlie. So do you think a Mackenzie, a Gigi or a Gigi or an Ava, for example, the girls in the class? Do you think other people like watching them or Jace and I?
I can't comment on other people, but I can say it is very enjoyable when you when you and Jace are messing around on camera. That's probably those are my favorite episodes.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. And Jaden
But not
Che,
the girls though, or guys.
To be fair,
hot men are always
the
plus.
The
I
last
guess.
couple of shows have been somewhat decent, But the thing that we really struggle with is that
We're missing me in London.
You're
Are you
just
guys not
so
gonna
right
anchor
about
anymore?
that. But
You're producers now, so we're not on camera.
That sucks.
So what the,
Does suck a little bit.
the actual issue is though is that it's just time management. When you're given 15 minutes to put a show together, it
can't really work. So if everybody gets their stuff in on time, you have time to like be able to manipulate things to be how you want it to look. But there hasn't been a lot of that time the last couple of weeks, so it's just been a struggle to get the show out. Because I can say lots of people probably haven't seen the show in the last couple of weeks because we either get it out late or it's not even fire alarm. That we had a fire alarm issue and that was not great.
Yeah,
That
just
was
don't pull the fire alarm
It's
next
my
time,
bad.
Will.
My bad.
Got me there.
Yeah. Do we know the perpetrator? The guy who's pulling the alarm?
Why do you assume it's a guy?
Well, I
He has-
I didn't say gender.
Yeah, you did.
No.
The
You
guy.
did.
No.
Oh,
I did.
Roll
I
the
did
clip.
Say, I did say the guy.
Show it.
No.
Run it back. Show
I did
him.
say the guy. Interesting. Well, traditionally, it is the guy.
That's real.
You know, I'm not saying a girl can't pull a fire alarm.
I think that's what you are saying.
I feel
Never mind. Let's move on.
Anyway.
Let's move on.
Okay.
I'm in a coughing fit.
Well, let's cut there. All right. On that note, I was kind of wondering, just with GMI, how do you guys sort of decide what to do for the sports segment? I know a lot of the time in the background you got some funny little animations going on. Walk me through that.
It's off the dome, man.
Yeah.
It's off the dome.
Whatever London walks into class saying, I do. He tells
Pretty
me
much.
we want to eat bananas, we eat bananas. He tells me we want to film upside down, we film upside down. Whatever
And
he
we
wants.
totally did not go to the store to get him bananas to do that segment.
No, we got the bananas.
Oh, you did?
You went and got us helium. That was another good one.
We did go to Safeway. No, we went to the bathroom in the middle of class to go get balloons from a such store. And
The helium store.
The helium
I know,
store.
It's by the Dixey store, right?
yeah,
Yeah. I
definitely.
got in trouble for that one again.
Yeah,
'Cause
apparently
you
we're
can't
killing
just
brain
in.
cells.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about that one.
Yeah, there's not very many to kill, so.
Yeah.
Okay, I have sort of a complaint for the GMI sports section. I write a lot of sports articles with Nordic. I know it's not the same. I know you guys have a lot of more face-to-camera interaction.
Yeah, I know it's much more difficult for you guys.
Yeah. I know that's like the most difficult thing is talking about sports. But I feel like you guys you'll read off a score and be like, boys golf, 5 points, they won, and then you move on to the next thing. You gotta go more in depth into it.
This is a genuine
Well,
complaint
see,
from you.
here's the
Yeah.
problem with that. If you see the script that we get, us
We don't write the script.
Us people that are
Who writes the script?
saying whatever, we get a script.
I'll touch on that.
So whatever we get on the script is all we say. So if you send in a paragraph for your sport, if the coach does, whoever sends it in for that team, then we got a paragraph to say about who did good, who did bad, or they probably don't put people who did bad on it. But if they
Yeah.
only send in the score, that's all we got to say. So we don't go to every game. So
Yeah.
we don't know what to say about it.
Yeah, we get the script from Miss Allmeyer, and Miss Allmeyer gets the script from sport. Well, what the coaches do is they report it to Miss Stanich, or they report it directly to Miss Allmeyer, and that gets sent to Miss Allmeyer from Stanich. And if you don't get it sent, it's not going to be put in. And then Miss Allmeyer has kind of a basic script that she's had for a while. That sounds so terrible.
So-
Oh my god.
So you have no control over what you say?
Not really, no. I mean, we do, but like we're not there in the process. What we do is we show up to class. We either have script or we don't, and whatever's in the script, it's pretty much finalized. And there might be a typo, but other than that, it's.
That kind of sucks.
You seen the movie Anchorman?
I love that movie.
You know when they change
San
the
Diego.
script? Yeah, you know that where they change like the script and the teleprompter makes them say some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping that they would try to do that with you, Will, because I feel like sometimes when
You know.
you're really getting into that reading and you're just staring right at that screen, it'll probably make you say some crazy stuff.
Funny enough, we don't actually have a teleprompter because of budget cuts in the North Shore School
You hold
District.
like a paper behind the camera?
Yeah.
It's a
No,
piece
there's
of
like
paper.
It's a piece of
the
paper.
ones that you see like outside. There's literally somebody behind the camera. They set everything up and then they just hold it right below the
Yep.
lens.
We're low budget film.
I feel like you could tape it
Tape it?
below the lens instead of having someone hold it.
That would just take out the need
Wind.
for having another person. And
Not really. Well, focus and framing.
I
and
mean,
stuff.
we don't.
Okay,
we
we
don't
got-
really
we got-
worry
we got
about that
two people and
anyway.
we still
So
struggle with
like,
it.
it's not like
Whenever I watch GMI, I'm always hit by how good the framing and focus is. So
You're kidding,
Really?
right?
yes,
Actually,
no, I'm being
I could
being
kiss you
sarcastic.
right now, Lucas.
I don't mean to call anybody out, but today Brandon was a little bit to the left side. Of the screen.
He doesn't have many downfalls, but we all work
Sorry.
on things. We all mess up.
Speaking of many downfalls,
Okay.
jokes with Jace.
No.
You walk me through that, man. I know that was supposed to be a silly little segment. I wouldn't say I had the best feedback coming from the students and teachers, at least from what I heard.
What?
I believe he
What?
ruined any chance he has with a female at this school.
What segment?
It's jokes with Jace. It was winter time, it was Christmas time, and for a couple openers, I was like, I'm just gonna put on this snowman costume. So for a couple openers, I had the snowman costume. I was like, I want to do at least one more thing with it. So I was like, let's look up Christmas jokes and tell Christmas jokes in a snowman costume. But the problem is, I can't say a lot of the funny jokes on GMI because it's showing the entire school. So I was really scraping at the bottom of the barrel for funny jokes, and it's just kind of me just sitting in a room with a snowman costume saying some dumb jokes.
3. So we talked about the sports features on GMI. I know that we all play sports, both for the school and outside of the school.
We got some football.
And we all take reasonably difficult classes. Some maybe easier classes than others. But what do you guys? What's that experience like for you guys?
Well, for me, I just went to actually Orlando this past week, and we played 3 games, and so my back's been actually destroyed. So I can't walk and I can't run. So I can't go to practice today. Sorry to say it now, but I don't know. It's it makes me want to question life sometimes because injuries are definitely a part of sports, and it's just you kind of wonder okay, why am I doing this? Right? Because you have to walk around with an injury. I mean, I'm sure we both experienced that. But.
And you're pretty high up in the totem pole for soccer, right?
Yep. We I just represented the West region. So we
West
played.
side.
What?
West side.
West side. We just won. So we just won the interregional tournament. What West is the best? Is what they say. We went 2-0-1. Tied the Midwest. It was 1-1.
It's kind of sad. Out of every region, we tied the Midwest.
Yeah,
They were
don't they
oddly
play
the
in like
best.
an
They were oddly the
artificial
best.
dome for half the year?
Literally.
Yeah.
We destroyed the South. We destroyed the East, and then we tied the Midwest, which was one guy missed. He hit the We hit the bar twice.
What he meant he actually missed.
So is that like, for baseball, there are 2 kinds of things. There's invitationals, and then there's things you sign up for where you can represent a region.
He got selected.
Is that that's a selection thing? So that's pretty cool. That's pretty
Yeah, it was
amazing.
Anything like
pretty cool,
rowing,
yeah.
he had to pay a lot of money, and then they take him. Anything like that.
Great insight, Will. Anyways, London.
Yeah, it was. It's actually a very. So you have to start at the state team. So you have to start at the Washington team. You make that team, then you go to Arizona, and you play some of the other states, and then you go to Oregon, and you play pretty much Oregon 3 times, and then you get selected to go to a camp. So if you go to that camp, then that's the West region camp, and if you make the team, which I made, then you go to what I just went to. You go to Orlando, and you kind of represent the region, and then from that you go to Dallas Cup with the national team.
You can be playing for the national team?
It is a separate kind of thing. It's not as good and prosperous as the actual youth national team, but it's like the ODP national team.
They're different national teams?
It's a little weird. Dallas Cup is like an MLS Next tournament, so we're gonna play if I win, we'd play other MLS Next teams. So
On a related note, London, what do you think of the MLS?
I'm kind of heated about the MLS. It is poor. It's very poor. We are screwed in this country. I could talk about it for years, but essentially the MLS is grouped
Flawed
together
system.
by It's a flawed system. There is a board of directors, and they manage every team. So each team is not independent within themselves. So all the sales and all that stuff just goes to these board of directors, and they just distribute the money. And which is why the MLS isn't very good or anything, because there's no tier system, right? It's just kind of one thing. Nobody's at risk of relegation or promotion. I mean, obviously it's not the top league or whatever, but a team like
in England?
A team like in England, I was gonna say that, not as good MLS team, but a team in England, for example, like Sunderland, or actually Sunderland's a good story because Sunderland went from 3rd or 4th division.
Yep.
Jamie Vardy, Mahrez, some of those guys, and they actually went all the way up to the top division and then won it. That was actually, it's on Netflix if any of you are interested. It was a very inspiring story actually, and that club got a lot of money, and I think they stayed in the league for 2 or 3 years after that. But then
They still bounce around now.
they bounce around. I think they're in
They
2nd
bounce
division right now, but it's definitely it's a lot different. They have motivation to go up and down in the leagues, but it's just the MLS is kind of corrupt.
Hate to see it.
Hate to see it. It's in sports.
On the topic of like, I guess of course you played soccer in a lot of places. What it sounds like, but where would this kind of area of even just like the state level? Where does Washington rank among top 50 U.S. states for soccer players? How good are we?
How good are we?
Where are we? I think top 15 maybe.
Top 15? That's not
Really?
too bad.
Crossfire
California
Premier
is definitely
top
number
15?
one.
Number one in the
we're
country
easily
for
top
MLS.
10.
You think we're top 10? I would say California and Texas are 1 and 2 probably.
A lot of
right?
people.
I mean, is that
there,
just because
yeah.
of size? Like, there's just so many people in both of those
There's
states.
so
that-
many people.
Yeah.
And stuff.
And then, well, and I don't mean to, but California's got a lot of Mexicans, so
Yeah, it's
you know,
very prevalent. Yeah.
it benefits their soccer programs. And then I think Florida's pretty good.
Florida, a lot of the southern states are good.
Yeah, Florida's also
But
a lot of
I would
people.
say for a more northern state, I
Bums.
would say we're probably one of the best northern states for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, other than that, Oregon's okay. Idaho's okay. Colorado's, Utah's.
Yeah, you know how Colorado is.
Colorado. That's what I'm saying.
Worst.
But yeah, it's interesting because we have one MLS Next team here, sort of. We have like Tacoma
Sounders?
Defiance.
Well, no,
Are
there's
they?
Sounders Academy, isn't that?
There's the
technically
academy.
MLS
They're
team?
technically MLS Next.
There's no academy.
Didn't you
No-
go there,
no
Jace?
more?
But that was a different thing.
The
He
academy's
was there
no
too.
longer a thing.
There's a lower.
There's no.
lower tier.
Well,
leads into the academies.
I guess there's 2 teams. There's a U17 and a
It was the
U15.
U17, U15s.
There is 2 teams, so there is somewhat of an academy, but I don't know,
Another
it's-
improvement for U.S. soccer. Our academy systems are not very good.
Another improvement. Yeah.
England, the academy system, that's pretty much your job. Versus here, it's kind of just like a side thing.
Yeah, when my dad went to the Netherlands, my dad was an exchange student for a year. His junior year of high school, he went over to the Netherlands and because he really wanted to play professionally, and he joined the Go Ahead Eagles, which is I think they're in actually the 1st or 2nd division, and it was one of their kind of branch off teams. And the difference is when you play a team, when you try out for a team, it's just your local team, right? Like Jace and I, we drive 40 minutes to Snohomish because it's one of like the closer ECNL programs, which because Sound, our local one, kind of disbanded and Crossfire is corrupt. But
Wow, getting controversial over
yeah,
here.
I know, right? And so in the Netherlands, the coaches make no starter money. So when you go to the club, you pay $50 for jerseys, and the coach has to like develop you, and he has to like fully commit to you as a player because he's not making any money. He has to sell you as a player. So if he took, if Will went over to the Netherlands and some coach took him on his team, he has to make Will good enough to make another team to sell him to make money, to make a
Tell you
living.
right now, that man would go broke.
He
I ain't going anywhere.
Well, Will has passion. He's not playing this year,
No,
right?
I might play next year with the new news about crew not being.
Yeah. Tell us
Being a
about,
thing.
without getting all political. Tell us about that.
It's a difficult situation to say the least. Anybody, if you have some spare change, inglemoorcrew.com. There is a GoFundMe and a PayPal, and we would accept your donations happily. But to say the least, little bit of a money crisis in the school district right now, and with
the
that,
coach recently?
what?
Didn't the coach recently almost get fired?
That was that last.
He's back.
Year.
Yeah, he's back.
That was
He's
last
back.
year's issue.
Yeah.
But some things happen. Crew is a very, very expensive sport. A boat itself can cost upwards to $100,000 into the 7, 6
But-
$800,000, but you know,
Nothing that we're rowing.
nothing
But
that
yeah,
we're
yeah.
rowing in.
I was
But
gonna say,
you know,
I was
it's
like,
a very
there's no motor.
there's no motor.
We
but
are the
we
motor.
are the motors.
Well,
we are the motors.
Some of us are the motors.
Some might call
Some
it
struggle a little more.
one of the most difficult sports in the world. But
I have a question.
as our coach,
Who would say that?
anybody,
Might
anybody who
might,
rows.
Might it be crew people who say that?
Are we
I
talking
would
about
say that.
difficulties in terms of rowing the boat or rowing a boat a distance?
try going on the verge of throwing up for the span of 8.5, let's say 7 minutes, and that's what your sport is.
Some
Now-
would say 7 minutes is not that long. I would say
Some
I
would
a
say
90-minute
7
soccer
minutes
game
in this
is-
sport is actually very long.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
What's the harder sport? Soccer or crew?
I mean, I used to play soccer. I didn't love it enough to keep going, but crew,
Some would
it's
say that's because you're lazy.
some might say that you're wrong, but you know,
Crew, it's a very niche sport, and I feel like that nicheness and accepting community kind of stands out to a lot of people.
I know there's a crew community. And
Yeah.
I know there's a bunch of people who do crew. But
Yeah.
in terms of like kind of taking that like the district side,
Mhm.
does crew bring in any money for the school?
You know,
That's the whole topic, is that it doesn't, but if you look at it to an extent, a lot of the sports at the school aren't bringing in anything, and a lot of the money that sports do bring in gets recycled through that same program.
Yeah.
So that's one way to look at it. But more on the topic of how hard sports are. I've played basketball, I've played lacrosse, I've done all sorts of things. I'm not going to pretend like crew is like the hardest thing I've ever done in the world, but
Yep.
the actual
up there.
act of like pulling hard, I don't think there's a lot of other ways I've been able to push myself like that. You know what I mean?
It's more of a mental game than it is physical battle. Your body is your body is a lot more capable of what you think it is, and what you have to do to be great at the sport is get past that and really get past the mental side of things.
What are your
to
guys'
keep
stroke
going.
rates?
Stroke rates?
Yeah.
Well,
I can speak more about that.
Charlie can
probably.
speak more about that.
Depends on the length of the race. Our fall seasons are usually longer distance races, up like around 5,000 meters. I don't know what that is in miles, but for all of our British fans, you can figure that out yourself.
I don't think we have any of those, but
In our spring seasons, usually it's pretty general 2,000 meter races, so that'll be around less than 8 minutes. For a race like that, we try to keep the average stroke rate, which is just how many strokes every minute you're taking, around 30, 32.
Wow.
For those longer races, it can be around a 30, and towards the end, and of course when we're trying to push hard, like to get past another boat, we can jack that up a little bit higher. Usually anywhere between a 25 and a 40 is pretty typical, but we try not to go that high.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, burn yourself out.
Yeah.
Got it. Well,
Yeah.
We actually have a wrestler behind the camera. Speaking of like difficulty in sports, where do you think wrestling ranks? On?
do you want to?
Number one, you said? Hardest sport?
So Jackson actually wants
I
to
think
comment.
everybody just subjectively thinks that their sport is the hardest. So I'm interested in this.
Well, I mean, wrestling is a
So-
really good argument for like why it's one of the hardest sports.
I would say wrestling the whole time, trying to pin the other guy. Not to mention you're tired as hell the whole time. So I give it to crew. I wrote a 2K. It's tiring, but with wrestling, it's different. It's the mental game is different.
yeah,
I'd
you
say.
got a hump.
Speaking of that mental game with wrestling, I know that weight cutting can be very difficult. Check out NordicNews.net. Me and Lucas wrote an amazing article about weight cutting and the effects it has on wrestlers.
Wasn't it Best in Snow, I hear?
Best of snow, yeah.
That's very impressive.
Thanks,
Or
man.
your competitors.
The Snow is student newspapers online, so it's just all throughout the country.
So it's all like the elementary schools and then us.
Yeah, Actually, I'm pretty sure it's mostly high schools, but I know there's some colleges in there that just upload their papers on there.
I mean, I just wanted to get you for the wrestling. You can
All right, bro.
you can head back out if you want.
All right, now let's get back into my favorite little segment of the day, Nordic Eats featuring Lucas. All right, Lucas. I know it's a new year, somewhat. You know, first couple months of the year. What would you say has been your favorite? I'll let the other guys chip in later, but what has been your favorite meal of this 2024
I recently went to Vancouver for
VMUN, right?
for VMUN.
Model UN.
and it's Canadian money, so everything's like cheaper. And I got well, I mean, it feels like it's cheaper, you know, because
75%
that's how they get
or
you.
25% off.
because so like and there's this shawarma truck right outside our hotel, like 50 feet away from our hotel. And so for lunch, we got a like a $7 shawarma. That was really good.
That's cheap.
And it
That's
was
cheap.
it was very good. And then we went to a bunch of Korean restaurants, and there's like tiny Korean restaurant. It was like it was one dude, and then like his mom and dad cooking on a single stovetop.
You already know it's good.
On a single stovetop in the back of the kitchen. It was very good. They had like 8 things on the menu, and that's how you know a restaurant's good.
That's
a
the
specialty.
secret. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like the less things on a menu, usually the better those things are.
No, I agree. No, yeah.
You soccer players, you've done a little bit of traveling. What's been your favorite meal you've gotten sort of away from this area code?
I got a good one.
Go.
In California, they have Surf Cup every year, and we had a hotel that was like a 5-minute walk away from the sushi restaurant. And the problem was we got there and like all the windows are blacked out and it looks like this like rundown place, so we weren't going to go in. And then we saw this like Asian family walk in. We're like, okay, maybe we'll walk in. There's people going in there. When we went inside, it was everybody in there was Asian, and that's when I knew it was going to be incredible. And it was the best sushi I've ever had, and it was like the cheapest sushi I've also ever had.
What'd you get?
Everything.
Wow.
Was that with me?
How much stuff do they have on their menu?
That's a good
It
question.
was a very long menu. It was all the different
Oh.
rolls.
I mean, that makes sense. No,
You're
no.
challenging
That
Lucas.
wasn't
It's fish. I mean, sushi is one kind of food,
Yeah,
but
it's
just
all
a ton
one.
of different
Okay.
kinds of fish.
Yeah.
No, that was different. That was different. That
What
was
about you,
expensive
London?
sushi.
What's
It was
been
in
your
California.
favorite on your travels?
Panda Express.
Oh, I love me some Panda Express.
I wouldn't say Panda Express is too foreign from here. I mean, I think there's Woodenville.
There's one in Totem Lake.
Okay,
Very
yeah,
close
that's
to us.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when our team went to nationals and we had Panda Express like 3 times.
What team
for
was
this
that with?
guy's request. It was Snohomish. No, it wasn't the Inglemoor team.
That's
The
my
Inglemoor-
favorite team.
The Inglemoor team is not really able to get that far,
Yeah,
but
let's
Not
calm
yet,
down
not
here,
yet.
Mike. Not yet.
I heard
We'll get
this year's
there.
the
They
year.
just don't want to see you win.
We had Mr. Omar on the podcast. He coached C team or JV. Oh, I don't know.
I think he's doing CT.
Yeah, well, we had him on here. He was talking a lot about soccer. He believes in you guys, you know?
I
There's
believe
potential.
in us.
There's potential.
Yeah.
On paper, our team is very good. We just need to execute now.
Isn't that your job?
It is my job, and
Some
I'm
might
working
say it's
on it.
another person's job,
Just a
but
little side note. Last night, Jason and I were on the same team. We were playing, and I gave him 3 chances to score.
Okay. Okay.
He missed all 3 of them.
No, you gave me 1, and I missed another one.
You know, I think I remember.
that
I
sounds
don't
like
remember.
2 to me.
This might have been a while
yeah,
ago,
but he said 3.
Jace. But didn't your brother Ty Dixey miss a very very easy shot? I remember hearing about this.
Yes,
Also a
yes.
fellow GMIer.
That's right. Yeah.
Ex GMI, you know,
He was never X. He's still here in our hearts.
Yeah, he's still here in our hearts, but sadly he's at UW now, so we don't get to see him every day.
Yeah. We miss him.
But
When
yeah.
did Ty miss an open net?
Oh, it was middle school soccer. it was his 6th grade year. Or
Oh no,
seventh
I'm
grade-
thinking of
seventh
something
grade
else
year.
then, because it
Seventh
had to have
grade
been when
year.
we were in middle school. I didn't know you back then.
Ty doesn't miss.
No, I've told this story before because
Oh,
it's
okay.
funny. He picks the ball up on his own half, dribbles past pretty much everybody. I think he passed like 8 or 9 guys. Dribbles the keeper. He's inside the 6-yard box.
Oh.
He hit the post.
Hmm.
Happens to
It
the
would have
best
been a
of us.
glorious goal.
Well, I just wanted to let you know when I was back in my soccer playing days. I think I was about 6 years old. I went up to my mom before the game and I told her I was going to score 5 goals, and I held my hand up like that, and then I did. I scored 5 goals.
5 goals.
I'm proud of you.
I think that was like the last game of the season too. I stopped playing after that. I think I've touched the
Repeat,
soccer
huh?
ball a couple times since then, but maybe I'll come out for Inglemoor.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Now that we've sort of got the elephant out of the room, for lack of a better word, how would you guys kind of explain the different dynamics there are in GMI?
Especially your dynamic.
Yeah.
You want to know about that.
I would say we have a different connection than most people do. Everybody's got their sort of like partner that they have in the class, and you know, there's people who always work together. Like you always see Raph and Wilmore, they work together a lot.
Yeah.
Me and Lunden work together a lot. The Emily and Brandon Rockwood work together a lot. But I would say the special thing about what me and Lunden have is the creativity aspect. Because sometimes in GMI we're a little bit lacking of that. It's a little dull. But whenever me and him get together, he'll walk in the door of GMI with a different idea, and we're like, let's do it. Let's add something good to GMI. Let's make it so everybody's going to be like, I'm not looking at my phone. I'm watching GMI because it's on, and these two people are entertaining to watch. And I would say that's probably the most special thing about our bond in GMI. It's just we bring that energy and creativity.
That's the best part
We
about
build
GMI.
off each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I walked in one day and I was like, Jace, I want to spit on you, and he was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And we did it, and
that was someone said that was the start of our reign of creativity.
it was and I got a lot of questions like, why did you let him spit on him? And it was like,
Because it's funny.
yeah.
I know you two saw it, right?
I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
It was so football had won their first game of the year, and we're like, our football team doesn't win, so we're gonna do one of those things where, like, there's a surprise and the person's drinking water, so they spit it out like, oh my gosh.
I do remember that. My bad.
Yeah.
I thought you meant he just spat.
No,
in your face.
So
I also thought
Yeah.
that's what you were talking
he
about.
picked up some water, drank it, and I go, and football one, he goes, what? And he just spits all over me. And everybody's like, that's kind of gross. Why do you let him do that? And it's like, because it was funny.
It was good. It
Like,
was funny.
You guys saw that, you're like, that's a little weird, but I enjoyed that. Like, it was, these two guys are just messing around,
Yeah, I
they're
bet you
having
enjoyed
fun.
it too.
And as you say, I enjoyed it. It was a little bit wet for a little bit, but other than that, I didn't really think anything of it. But it was a good time.
Just two guys having fun, right?
Yeah.
Well, I very much appreciate the bond that you guys bring to GMI, and you're working as producers now, right?
Yep, we produce the show now. So sadly, we won't be on camera as much, if any. Well, you'll see us in openers maybe and stuff like that. But end of the quarter, we'll probably start getting back on it again. I don't know how many shows we'll have fourth quarter because seniors start graduating. So the last couple weeks there's shows, but. Yeah, well, I'll sadly lose a friend here. Next year I'll have to find a new buddy that I can be creative with. So,
What's next for Lunden Fenster?
what's next for London Fence?
what is next? Sadness. I gotta figure out where I want to go.
Saudi Arabia?
Saudi Arabia.
Third league?
I'm gonna go to the Saudi Arabia third league.
What?
They pay
For
like
soccer.
$100,000, give you a car and a house.
Are you being serious?
It's a discussion we've had. We've thought after high school, why don't we just go to the Saudi Arabia third league, and you get paid $100,000 a year, you get a house, you get a car, and you get to play soccer for the foreseeable
Are
future.
you actually going to do that? Is that an option for you, or?
Well, an option is to take a gap year. An option is to take a gap year and try to go somewhere to play. Saudi Arabia was kind of a joke, but it's kind of not a joke.
It's a fascinating possibility, because I think him, me, I think if we really wanted to, and that was what we wanted to do for the rest of our life, then we could go there, and I think we could progress there and go up the ranks and get paid more, because Saudi Arabia pays their athletes a lot of money.
The oil money, right?
Yeah,
A lot of money. Now, I don't think, I think if it was just me or just Jace, I don't think we'd have very much fun, because it's secluded and we don't speak the language and blah, 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 blah. But I think if we went together and we lived in a,
One bedroom
house
apartment,
and
yeah.
one bedroom apartment and made a bunch of money in Saudi Arabia, I think we would do fine.
So you guys would be a married couple?
We would act like
I
a
don't
married
think
couple.
they let that happen in Saudi Arabia.
That
but,
also might be true. Yeah, that's a different. It's a much
That's-
different culture over there, but
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll appreciate seeing the little. Maybe they'll get a GMI opener that starts next year, and it'll be like, "Hi guys, it's London. I just graduated last year. I'm here playing soccer in Saudi Arabia."
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I don't know. What I've noticed about the soccer world is, truthfully, it's very anxious because you got somebody like Brecken, right? Brecken committed to UW, right? And
Very good soccer player.
very good soccer player, and you kind of think like, okay, like, I'm not committed, right? I don't know where I'm going, right? And it's a little depressing. It's a little hard to do one thing your entire life and
just dump it.
try to dump it or anything. But what I've just realized after this past weekend and over some time is nobody has anything figured out.
Yeah.
Frankly, I think I've talked with Brecken a little bit. I actually talked with Brecken's mom a little bit because she's always walking the dog.
Dawn
at Biltmore.
Bowers.
Yeah.
She's so I was talking with her a bit, and Brecken wants to go into business. He wants to go to UW. He's excited about the school. Frankly, I don't know if he's very excited about business. I heard another guy wants to go to Oregon State, and another guy wants to go here, wants to go there, and I started asking them. I was like, all right, so what do you want to do? And even Keegan Chapko on our team, he's very adamant. He's like, oh, I want to go to Portland State, and I started asking him. I'm like, so why do you want to go to Portland State? And he wants to play soccer. Like my dad, who wanted to play soccer his entire life, he went to Evergreen, right? He didn't have a very good GPA, and for the next 20 years of his life, he just followed soccer. And after that, he's 40. He has an art degree from Evergreen, and he just doesn't have anything. He had to restart. He had to go into business, and he kind of had to figure out what he wanted to do. And I think, absolutely, if you want to go into soccer, I think you pursue it. But I just think, if you're kind of like me, and you're not committed, or you don't know what you're doing, I think you don't have to really worry about it. I think people worry about kind of where they want to go, but I think realistically, nobody knows what they want to do, which is kind of sad.
But maybe it's not sad. Maybe it's more of an open.
It's kind of freeing.
It is very freeing. Yeah.
Because if you're not pigeonholing yourself into that one thing, then it seems like you could do a lot of different things.
Absolutely. You can find out what you want to do. My dad's friend followed soccer, didn't know what he wanted to do, and then started building stuff in his garage. And now he makes $200,000 a year plus. He just builds stuff in his garage. And he started his own business because that's what he likes to do.
And he doesn't live in Saudi Arabia.
Doesn't live in Saudi Arabia.
Or the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Or the Netherlands, frankly. All right, so it's, the soccer world, it's a little corrupt. It's, but I think, with anything you do, I think you just gotta, be happy with it. Pursue it.
So how about you, Jace?
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I've talked to a couple coaches in the college scene, but at the end of the day, I'm picking a school because I want to go to school. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do afterwards, because if you go play soccer in college, there's only maybe 40, 50 people who ever go anywhere from that.
Yeah.
So if I go into a college playing soccer, I got to make sure I'm going to the school that I actually want to go to for their school, and what I would get a major in. So I think right now I'm just trying to figure out what my major would be, and then through there maybe figure out what school I would consider playing soccer for.
It's a weird topic. It's weird. People got to figure out what they want to do.
But I think that's also, at least in the college world, a lot of people go into it just being undeclared or thinking that they have an idea of what major they want to do, and all the statistics point to people really, as you were saying, don't know what they want to do until a couple years into it. I know me and Jace, both of our brothers, go to UW's freshman this year. They both, does Ty know what he wants to do?
Right now he says he wants to be an engineer. Obviously he can change, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's been pretty into that since he was young. So
yeah.
I think he's one of those weird exceptions where
he is pretty weird. He's been an exception his whole life.
Yes, really has.
I'm kind of the opposite of what you guys were talking about. How you have that plan where you want to play that sport, the one you've been doing your whole life. And you do that in college, but then you don't know where you want to go from that. I've played baseball my entire life. I mean, it has been the thing that I've done most aside from school and breathing.
Yeah.
And sure. And I quit last year because I just kind of lost my love for the game. And I realized that I wanted to focus on academics, especially going into college. I wanted to go to college for school and not for athletics. And I realized that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough to... I definitely wasn't good enough to go anywhere past college, and I most likely wasn't good enough to go anywhere, to get into a college for baseball. And then I wanted to try different things. And so, I think that decision for me was fairly easy based on a lot of different criteria.
Relieving. You felt relieved.
Yeah, I felt kind of like I was losing something, like a part of me, but also like a weight was being lifted from my shoulders.
You didn't feel the pressure of having to, that wasn't what defined you after that? After you decided to quit?
After I quit, I realized that I based not a lot, but some of my identity on baseball. And I think a lot of athletes do that, especially ones who've been playing one sport their entire lives with a lot of commitment.
Yeah. It's definitely, you definitely hit a midlife crisis after you. That's what they talk about. Soccer players hit a midlife. Well, I think an interesting point to bring up is Lionel Messi, right? Best soccer player ever. He's
That's what I have no say in this at all. But we discussed that.
That sounded like a disagreement.
I'm saying we discussed that with Mr. Omar and Mr. Garcia. I don't remember.
Did they say Ronaldo?
I don't remember what they said honestly.
If they
Lucas
said
brought up the question.
something like Pele or Maradona, I'll take that. But
No,
I
I
will
think
not
that-
take Ronaldo.
I know the question was Ronaldo or Messi. I don't remember, and I don't care to this day because I don't know enough to make an educated decision. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
So Lionel Messi played soccer his entire life. No, he had a birth defect where he was smaller. He was brought into the Barcelona academy when he was 10. Played soccer until now. He has done nothing else except playing soccer. Now, a scary realization, like I'm scared for him, is like he's gonna kind of like you, like he's gonna be 50. He can't play soccer anymore. What is he gonna do? He has done nothing except soccer, and he has billions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants, but like
A lack of purpose.
he has a lack of purpose now. Like what is he gonna do? Like I'm sure he likes to go golfing or whatever, but it's not like he's gonna fill every day with that. And I think it's very interesting. Like those soccer players, like now what?
Yeah. If Messi's watching this, we all like you, man. You're my favorite player.
That's-
Starting now.
Yeah, starting now. Yeah, it's interesting.
It's beautiful. I like a lot of that discussion. I mean, obviously, you're not really worried about Messi's finances. Is the easiest way I can put it. But I completely understand what you mean about what will he do with his life, not necessarily what
He's
will he
gotta
do to
find
make
his
money.
purpose now.
Yeah.
Yeah, his next passion. It's scary. Like I don't want to bring kind of a whole dark side of this thing, but like I could see him killing himself. Like I could.
Whoa.
It's dark, but I could see it. Like
I understand what you mean. I think that's a pretty quick jump to make.
Yeah, I think that's a going.
I don't know. Think years in the future. He's
Yeah.
he has a family. It's 10 years after. I don't know what you would do at that point. I mean, for Jace and I, for injuries, I know you can say this too, but like I fractured my foot and I was out for half a year or whatever. Sitting on my ass and playing video games, it's depressing. Like it's after, I mean, kind of like Lucas was saying, like it's kind of relieving, but it's also just like there's nothing to do. And I realized at that point, like I needed to find things to do because I had nothing. I played video games. All day, and I was like I have no life other than soccer. And I mean, I'm sure you can touch on that too. Like
I do think I've benefited a little bit from my family's support and stuff like that. So I've started other sports. I ski, I ride my bike. I just recently started golfing. I thought it was a dumb sport until I tried it. It's actually incredible.
You seem like you would golf.
I do. I've been golfing 2-3 times a week since August. So I'm getting there. But I think I have something once soccer eventually becomes not an option, whenever that is along the road. I do have other things to do, so I do think I've kind of benefited that way, and I'm not quite as worried about what happens after soccer, but I think the people who don't have those extra hobbies besides it, and the people who literally all they do is school and soccer, maybe even just soccer,
Or maybe even just school. I know that's a lot of people do stuff
but
like that.
once you're done with that sort of stuff, it's like, what do you do? And I think right now I'm in a decent place, and I'm very thankful for that.
yeah.
All right, well, thank you guys very much for all that. That was very eye-opening. Of course, thank you for coming on the show. Shout out to GMI for all the work you guys do, week in, week out, or I guess day in and day out.
Yeah.
Pretty much
Appreciate
every
it.
Anything you want to say, Lucas?
I think that's probably the best conversation we've had on the whole 2 episodes of the podcast.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
We can top it from here.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate you guys coming out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for having us on.